First, there was the collapse of civilization. Anarchy, genocide, starvation. Then when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, we got the plague. The living death, quickly closing its fist over the entire planet. And then we heard the rumors that the last scientists were working on a cure that would end the plague and restore the world. Restore it? Why? I like the death. I like the misery. I like this world!
I hope you're all ready for another episode of the Jean Pod Van Dammecast.
Hell yeah.
Jeff, man, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing well. I got to watch Cyborg, and I'm excited. How are you?
Same here. Same here. That awesome 80s goodness. I was just in love with it. I tried getting Tony from Kapowcast on and have him special guest with us this time around.
Man.
But
can you believe that he just randomly happened to have the Cyborg comic?
yeah, I know. That's what blows my mind. I was just like, what?
He's like, oh, you guys, you do the Jean-Claude Van Damme thing, right? Look what I just got.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I was very jealous. I totally wanted that. I was
I know.
whoa, man. That's
we have to do like a crossover soon.
Hell yeah, dude. For
Review
real.
the comic. I think we should review the comic.
Yes, definitely. I had no clue that there was a comic. So when Tony sent me that, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to read this. I got to get my hands on it somehow.
The cover art isn't bad either.
No, I know. It didn't. It looked pretty good. So if you guys are listening and you're wondering what we're talking about, yes, today is Cyborg Day. And man, this is an amazing action sci-fi thriller from 1989.
It was also called Cyborg 009 in the UK, I think, which led to a lot of confusion when I was trying to find it on the internet.
Yeah. Luckily, I had a copy at my home thanks to 7-Eleven when you and I came in here to record something else.
That was my problem. I had the Blu-ray copy, but I don't have a Blu-ray drive on my computer.
Oh, that's a bummer. But yeah, so it's a martial artist hunts a killer in a plague-infested urban dump of the future, which totally does it.
Yeah, pretty much covers the movie right there.
Yeah, and even in the beginning, it says like sometime in the distant future. Like it won't give you a time period at all because it's like
smart.
This movie is really shitty, and we don't want to put any year on it so that you guys can make fun of it even more. So it was released April 7th, 1989. The tagline was, "He's the first hero of the 21st century, and he's our only hope." It's very tame.
Yeah, very generic and cheesy.
Yeah.
And that does give a timestamp on it.
It does, yeah. So it's sometime in the 21st century.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't think it was sometime in like the 29th century or the 57th century. Because there's still like ruins and whatnot.
Yeah. And the director was Albert Pion. And if I'm butchering that last name, I'm sorry. A lot of these last names are some pretty interesting last names from what we've done. There hasn't been like just a Jack Smith. Yes, exactly. Something easy or a Miller or anything like that. Albert also wrote the film too. He's the writer on it.
He's the brainchild behind it.
Yeah, this is his baby. So we have Jean-Claude Van Damme playing Gibson Rickenbacker. What a name.
All the names in this are...
Oh, yeah, the names in this are pretty amazing. You have Deborah Richter playing Natty Simmons, Vincent Klein playing Fender Tremolo.
My favorite character. I'm pretty sure they just mainly just called him Fender throughout.
Fender. I was gonna say I don't really remember anyone with their last names or anything. I thought they were only one names.
I only heard like Gibson like once to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And I thought that was his last name.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you would think so. There's a guy with two last names instead of two first names. We had Alex Daniels as Marshall Stratt and Dale Haddon as Pearl Prophet. So there's obviously a few more in here, but those are kind of your top build.
Mm-hmm.
And man,
Yeah, they're all terrible actors.
Oh my gosh.
No one.
Oh my
like,
gosh, yeah.
I mean, like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Fender were the best actors in the film.
Yep.
And that is
saying
saying a
something.
lot.
Yeah, man.
Those two are a match made in heaven. There's like the way they both scream when they do anything.
Right, exactly, dude.
There was really a yin and yang thing going on in there on so many levels.
Yeah, man. I really felt like the only good acting came out in the beginning when the dude was like going to be killed.
Uh-huh.
And he's just sitting there on the ground with the look of terror in his face, and opposite of him, no one can act at all.
Yep.
So, like, it's amazing to see his facial expression. Like, this dude probably went to actual drama school, and the rest of these people were just
in like heavy metal videos.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So it's kind of crazy to see. But yeah, the rest of this movie, oh my gosh.
Oh, it's a thrill ride, all right.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny because like I loved this movie as a kid. I watched it
me
over
too,
and
man.
over again.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it since I was about 10, 12 years old, maybe, tops. And seeing it again, it definitely had the rose-tinted glasses when I watched it.
Yep, exactly. I remember feeling the same way. I originally saw this again a handful of years ago. It was in my Netflix queue, and I was like, oh, Cyborg, man, I love Cyborg. So I watched it, and I was like, that is not what I remember from Cyborg at all. And I guess in my little mind, I probably made up more to the story than what was given. Like, I like put puzzle pieces in that were completely missing. And this time around, I was just like, I have no clue what happened. But yeah, it runs for 82 minutes. It had a budget of $500,000 supposedly.
It
looks like it. It made in between $9.5 and $10 million. It was
a gigantic success.
Oh heck yeah, man! In that case, most definitely. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. You have a mercenary who battles a group of murderous marauders led by Fender along the east coast of the United States in a post-apocalyptic future. Oh, the film is the first in Pion's Cyborg trilogy. It was followed by 1993's Knights and Omega Doom in 97.
We have to see those.
Holy crap, I did not know this.
Oh man, side project.
Cyborg, yeah, seriously, man. Cyborg was followed by sequels Cyborg 2 and Cyborg 3 The Recycler.
Who,
wow.
I'm assuming it may have had Fender in it, but I'm pretty sure Jean-Claude Van Damme wasn't in it.
I know for a fact he wasn't in those. I have no clue who
I saw the guy who played Fender. I think he was in like Kickboxer 2.
Oh, I'm sure. That sounds about right.
I was looking at his IMDb. So does he actually have startlingly blue eyes in real life?
No, I don't think
so. I knew it.
Malcolm McDowell was in Cyborg 3. The man behind A Clockwork Orange, for those who are listening.
He did everything around that time. I remember he was in like this really crappy Outer Limits ripoff episode, and like he would just do anything for money. He was in that one Star Trek movie.
Oh, holy shit. Angelina Jolie was in Cyborg 2, apparently.
The crown in her the jewel in her crown of achievements.
Wow, man. I have to search out not only these sequels, but the trilogy of these films.
How old would she have been at that time?
It was in 93, so I don't know, what would you say? She had to have been young, probably in her late teens, early 20s.
Now I'm interested even more.
All right, so the plot to this was that a plague known as the Living Death cripples civilization, and a small group of surviving scientists and doctors located in Atlanta, Georgia, the CDC, we're working on a cure to save, humanity. To complete their work, they need information stored on a computer system in New York City. Pearl Prophet volunteers for the dangerous courier mission and is made into a cyborg through surgical augmentation.
And they blew their entire budget showing off her cyborg back of her head.
Right, exactly. And then her ill-timed face trying to show emotions of a dude getting killed, and she's just like sitting there with the mouth kind of going open and closed, like
She plays a good cyborg because she's not convincing as a human being that can convey emotions.
That's true. That's very true. So Pearl, accompanied by her bodyguard Marshall Stratt, retrieves the data in New York, but is pursued by the vicious Fender and his gang of pirates. Fender wants the cure so he can have a monopoly on its production, which is pretty hilarious. Like, one of his one-liners in the beginning was basically like, so I can be the baddest boss ever.
I'll be a god. He delivered all of his lines like that.
Yes, pretty much.
His delivery was just superb.
Yeah, his delivery was a thing of beauty.
Go to hell. Been there.
So basically, Stratt gets badly injured while fighting the pirates and tells Pearl to leave him and find a mercenary known as Slinger who can escort her to safety. She gets cornered but is saved by a slinger named Gibson Rickenbacker. After she explains her situation, they are overrun by Fender's gang and Gibson is knocked out by falling debris. Fender demands that she accompany him to Atlanta or die. And I think the thing is, this plot that's written for this sounds a lot better than how the movie goes.
Oh, yeah. Like, I can see a lot of really good potential. The plot of it's a lot like something out of some kind of, like, goofy post-apocalyptic late 1980s, like, anime or something. Like,
yeah, man.
And the look of all the characters, especially. Like,
yes.
Everyone looks like they're, like, on a Man of War album cover or something. It's really, really over the top.
Yeah, dude. No, the thing that, like, this movie's a short movie. 88 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it just falls under that hour and a half mark. But, like, even as a kid, remembering how this movie goes, it's like, okay, I remember the cyborg part.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember the ending, and everything in the middle of it is just, fodder for them getting to that. Like,
yeah,
Van Damme basically beating up a bunch of pirates.
And like 712 flashbacks, like snippets of his past.
Yes, exactly. Which, like, could be its own film and should probably all be put together because, like, it was, hey, I'm gonna show you, and this little girl is gonna hold this barbed wire rope and
really
try
gruesome.
To hang, hold on to my family going down into a well, and it was really weird.
Yeah, it was bizarre and not very practical.
No, not.
But gruesome, very gruesome.
Oh, very gruesome.
This movie had a lot of brutality in it.
Yes, it really did, man. And it had one of the best fallen fake mannequin scenes I've seen in a while.
Yes. The screaming mannequin.
Yep. Gibson's counterpart knocks him off, and then it's just like, yeah, it's
See, if they had, like, did it to where he wasn't screaming, or like maybe he'd been like knocked unconscious while he was falling.
Yeah, man.
It would have been slightly more convincing.
Yeah, no, that one was pretty ridiculous.
That was really good.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to stay on their plot.
Chronicle,
yes. It's like ridiculous. So Fender's gang slaughters a family and steals their boat. They head south
so they actually
Atlanta.
do become like their namesake, pirates.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly. And really, we got, man, Cyborg was kind of mentioned in this film a lot, but not like in such a way that it was so obvious.
Well, I mean, like, it's called Cyborg, but the cyborg in it was just a Maltese Falcon. It was just a means to an end, a plot device. None of the actual characters that mattered were cyborgs.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So like, that was interesting.
Yes.
So I guess I didn't pay too much attention to how many times they said cyborg, because it kind of was
And like, how many people know what a cyborg is in this post-apocalyptic world?
Right, exactly.
I remember, it's a funny story. I used to argue with my mom because we never watched the movie from the start. We would argue about who was the cyborg, and I would say it was the lady. I thought that, they said that she was the cyborg, because most of the time we never got to see the scene where she takes off her wig and like the whole back of her head, it looks like.
Right, yeah.
And then she's like, no, the bad guy's a cyborg. When you can hear him scream when he gets killed in the final death scene, spoiler alert. It's in slow motion and really low, so he's obviously a robot. And I was like, no, Mom. And we just argue back and forth endlessly until she beat me with a vacuum hose.
And little does she know that finally,
years later,
2017, when this comes out, that she is totally wrong.
Shojuma.
Yeah, look at us now. So they head south for Atlanta via the intercoastal waterway with the captive Pearl. Gibson, who had been tracking the pirates, arrives at the scene of slaughter later that night. A shadowy figure attacks him, but he disables her. Turns out to be Natty Simmons.
I thought he threw a knife at her, but I guess he didn't. I guess he threw something else at her.
Yeah. Which is weird because that was like part of his gimmick, was throwing knives.
Yeah.
Like,
he had a lot of knives.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Another thing about him, he had a big thing for taking other people's weapons and killing them with it.
Yes, very much so. So Natty's family, who is wiped out by the plague, joins Gibson. Gibson is less concerned with a cure for the plague than with killing Fender. They trek southward towards the wastelands where bandits ambush them. Gibson unsuccessfully attempts to convince her to stay away. After declining sex with Natty, Gibson reveals that all he cares about is revenge against Fender, who killed his lover and destroyed his chance to have a normal life and family.
Like, it was for sure that she was killed because they were all lowered into a well, and then he was the only one who crawled out. He's the only one
who crawled out, yeah.
And they never showed him killing her.
Yeah.
And he's like, I thought you were someone else when he asked why he saved the cyborg.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's really bizarre and unclear.
It was. That part really was. Like I said, it's flashbacks. Like, that could have been a movie on itself.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, what happened? How does it make any sense that you guys go down to the well and...
Did he, eat them all while he was in the well so he didn't die of starvation and then find a way to climb out?
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
That's true. You don't know what happens to the other children. It was another kid, right?
Yeah. That one was really weird, really bizarre. During this time, I think one of my favorite parts, too, is them just, talking, and all of a sudden she randomly, Natty takes off her clothes and then runs towards the beach.
That was my favorite part, too. It's weird.
And then she tries to offer herself with sex, and she's like, here's my boobs.
And he's like...
And he's like, no.
No, you're being improper.
Yep. Yeah, he totally put her in her place and was like, you don't have to do that with me. So, intercepting Fender and his crew near Charleston, South Carolina, Gibson defeats most of his men, but Fender shoots him with an air rifle. Now nursing a gunshot wound, Gibson realizes Haley, his dead lover's younger sister, whom Fender kidnapped, is now a loyal member of Fender's crew.
Yeah, another thing that didn't make much sense.
Yep, not at all. He flees the pirates and ends up alone with Pearl and Natty. Pearl refuses to go with him. She calculates that Gibson is not strong enough to defeat Fender and will be unable to get her to Atlanta safely. Oh, thanks, Cyborg. She says she will go along with Fender and lure him to his death in Atlanta, where she has resources at her disposal.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, but why go with one escort in the first place when this other guy who doesn't get killed immediately is going to do it for you?
Right, yeah.
And you don't I mean... I'm going to go ahead and say the premise of this film is somewhat dubious.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Put me on record.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Tired, wounded, and badly outnumbered, Gibson flees with Natty through the sewer into a salt marsh where they are pursued by the rest of the pirates.
This is the only split scene.
Yes.
And what a split scene it is. Holy shit. It's the greatest split scene in his career.
Yeah, man.
Besides Time Cop, maybe.
Oh, yeah. And eventually separated from each other. Gibson is thoroughly beaten by Fender and crucified high on the mast of a beached, derelict ship. Haley lingers at the scene, but still leaves with Fender. Gibson spends the night on the cross. In the morning near death, he kicks the mast repeatedly with his dangling foot in a last fit of rage. The mast snaps, sending him crashing to the ground.
Oh, that's actually where they show what happens with the scene with the barbed wire.
Yeah, yep.
I don't understand how they rigged up a barbed wire well lowering.
Yeah, that's what I'm still trying to figure out, that system.
I mean, say what you want about him and his cruelty, but Fender's ingenuitive.
Just think of what he could have been if the world did not go into this apocalypse. That was another thing, too, though. The mast snaps on him to the ground, crashing to the ground with his arms still tied and nailed to the cross. And then Natty appears out of the marsh to free him. But I always wondered, too, I was kind of like, wait, your arms are still, tied up. What makes you think? I think I would be in a worse position if I was I just broke this mast, and now I'm down on the ground. There's no way that you're not going to fall flat on your face. You can't put your hands up in front of yourself to block it. So it's just seems not smart, but hey. I'm not Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You can't do the splits between two sewer walls. Also, another thing, that huge beefy guy he stabbed in the face while he's doing the splits. How did the guy not see him?
Yeah.
He was only 7 feet in the air.
Yep. I'm not positive.
I guess the lighting wasn't as good as the camera,
Yeah, exactly.
That's
it must have been right. Yeah. Gibson and Natty intercept Fender once again in Atlanta, this time better prepared. Fender's gang is taken down one by one until he and Gibson face off. During their fight, Natty rushes Fender with a knife, but he stabs and kills her.
Which surprised me.
Yeah, that is really surprising. Gibson, in turn, stabs Fender in the chest. Thinking him dead, Gibson embraces Haley, who during the battle turned decisively against Fender. However, Fender gets back up, and they continue to battle in a nearby shed, where Gibson finally kills Fender by impaling him on a meat hook.
Another beloved meat hook death scene.
Yep, another meat hook death scene. Gibson and Haley escort Pearl to her final destination before heading back off. Wow. And that fight scene, that's what I also remember. It's like raining. And...
I loved that fight scene as a kid. Watching it now, the editing in it is not very good.
Not good. Yeah. I know exactly.
The fight choreography is it's all right. It's not his worst and it's not his best, but the editing was really bad. Like you can see re-edits and parts from other parts taken into it, and I don't know.
Yeah, dude. It's one of those things that as a kid, your mind just filled in, used your imagination, because that's exactly what I thought. I mean, too, watching it.
The characters, what they all had was the look, especially Fender. I mean, he was out of
Fender was scary.
Yeah, he was right out of a 1980s arcade game or something.
Yes, most definitely.
And they had those fake dreadlocks, the dreadlock weave he had in the back of his head. Oh my goodness. And the chainmail and the giant shoulder pads and how did he even see out of those sunglasses? They were so dirty.
I know.
That would drive me crazy.
I know. Wow. It's those beautiful blue eyes.
And yes. And every single member of his gang had terrible teeth. They were all horribly dirty.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so we're going to get into some trivia this time around.
Do we have good trivia this time?
Yeah, there's actually some really good trivia that comes out of this.
I can believe it because it's a big cult classic.
It really is. There's some stuff, once again, that this film just kind of you realize what was going on in the 80s. This is an MGM film, too.
This is one of the last Canon films, I think, or it was during the dying days.
Yep.
Oh, I missed it. Canon films.
Yep. So here we go. This is our this one I started laughing at. Getting into our trivia. Jean-Claude Van Damme accidentally wounded Jackson Rock Pinkney's eye during a scene where they fought with swords, causing him to permanently lose vision out of the eye.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wait, who's Jackson Rock Pinkney? Which one was he?
I don't remember. He took Van Damme to court, eventually winning a settlement.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
That is just classic JPVD right there.
I guess so, man. We're getting kind of this
sense of a theme.
Yep, there's a theme coming here. The film was conceived to use the costumes and set built both for an intended sequel of Masters of the Universe and a live-action Spider-Man film.
That's so funny because I remember Damon mentioned that during our holiday special.
Yeah, man, yeah. I totally forgot. Cyborg was supposed to be a sequel to Masters of the Universe.
But you can tell with a lot of the character design.
Yeah, dude. Both projects were planned to shoot simultaneously. After Canon Films, the production company had to cancel deals with both Mattel and Marvel because of their financial troubles. They needed to recoup the money spent on both projects. So Pion wrote the story Cyborg from two other previous scripts he had called Johnny Guitar and Alex Rain. Oh, man, I want to see what those had.
Yeah, Johnny Guitar. That sounds really good.
Yeah, dude. Some network television channels still give the film's title as Masters of the Universe 2 Cyborg, which often confuses many into thinking a sequel to that film was made. This was the last official theatrical release for Canon Films after going bankrupt in 1987.
Sadness. Great movies.
The film was heavily cut to earn an R rating rather than an X. Among the scenes that didn't make it to the film, the opening slit throat, a good deal of blood in the village massacre. Also, in the first warehouse fight, Jean-Claude Van Damme is first fighting one guy, and then suddenly he's not fighting anyone anymore, soon before the girl throws the villain down the big pit. The guy he was fighting vanishes. His death scene was likely cut. Albert Pyun first thought of Chuck Norris for the lead, but Cannon suggested JCVD, who had just finished Bloodsport at the time. Director Pyun originally envisioned the film as a heavy opera without dialogue, shot in granulated black and white, but the proposal encountered the refusal of producers. I could not imagine what this film would be.
Oh my God, if only they just gotten the budget they wanted.
Oh my gosh.
0 dialogue.
I don't even know, man.
I feel like the movie is only hindered by its dialogue. Except for the only... funny thing about the opening monologue by Fender in it, that actually is something that appears in a Wu-Tang Clan song.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he quotes it. I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Fender says, "We have a skin job," a reference to Blade Runner.
Huh. Oh, yeah, that's right.
The budget was $500,000, like I said, but $2 million had already spent on production design, costumes, and miscellaneous prep work on the aborted projects Masters of the Universe 2 and Spider-Man. That's crazy to think.
Yeah.
Mattias Hughes turned down a role in this film. Years later, he claims to regret the decision. I don't know if you really regret that one, dude.
I would.
The character names Gibson, Rickenbacker, Natty Simmons, Fender, Tremolo, Marshall Strat, and Pearl Prophet are also names of musical instruments or manufacturers.
So
I didn't really think of it, but yeah, it totally makes sense. Gibson, Fender, Marshall. Yeah.
That would explain. It was from the Johnny Guitar script.
Yes, exactly. Johnny Guitar. The guns used by Gibson are paintball guns, Tippmann SMG-60s. This is important in the abandoned factory scene. Rickenbacker runs behind a dumpster and unscrews a 9-ounce CO2 bottle, then inserts another one to simulate reloading the weapon.
That's funny. I wondered what they used. That makes sense. Because the guns look so weird.
Oh, I know they did.
That weird, like, Gatling gun looking, multiple barrels.
The chainmail and forearm guards worn by Fender were part of the costume for the character Blade in Masters of the Universe.
Wow, that is awesome. God, that's so true. Holy shit.
Yeah, that is amazing. I didn't know that at all. Ralph Meller, who played Brick Bardo, had such a thick German accent that all of his dialogue had to be dubbed. A test screening was made, which ended in disaster, where from 100 people surveyed, only one person liked the film.
Was that you?
Yes, it was. Okay, producers Golan and Globus tried to convince JCVD to allow them to release the movie as it was. Instead, Van Damme convinced both producers to let him edit the film, as he had done previously with Bloodsport, and asked them for 2 months, after which Cyborg was finally released.
I think he made the right decision.
Yeah. After the success of Bloodsport, Cannon Films offered JCVD the lead in Delta Force 2, The Colombian Connection, American Ninja 3, Blood Hunt, or this one. He chose the latter, although he later admitted, "I didn't like the film so much."
I'd like to. I'm kind of interested in the director's cut. I wish they'd released one.
You know what's? Oh, dude, yeah, for real. I really,
monochrome operatic cut.
We got 2 years before that 30th anniversary.
Hell so yeah!
Hopefully,
still time.
Obviously, I said it was written by Albert. It went under the pseudonym of Kitty Chalmers, which was the name of his cat. In 2011, Albert Pyun's Kernan Pictures got hold of the missing tapes of the original cut of the film through Pyun's original choice for score artist, Tony Riparetti. This director's cut of the film features Pyun's editing and previously unreleased scenes. It is commercially available through the director himself. Pyun's director's cut was released in 2014 in Germany with the film's original title, Slinger.
Holy shit, we got to review that.
Looks like we got to do a special edition episode. Gonna find that bad boy. Gibson is a slinger, a warrior for hire. In the Old West, a gunslinger was a gunman or gunfighter who carries and readily uses a gun. Huh.
That's true.
Thanks for that one.
Yeah, that was a real... Man, I couldn't have realized that on my own. Thanks.
Albert Pyun is currently developing a prequel to this film.
What?
Which was originally titled Cyborg, Rise of the Slingers, before the title was changed to Cyborg Nemesis. The film, which takes place before Cyborg, details the formation of the Slingers after the plague brought about the fall of civilization, and the pirates begin terrorizing the survivors, and the Slingers are organized to deal with them. Huh. Interesting.
I'd watch that.
Me too. The 1989 video game Strider was considered as an influence behind the film, mostly because of its main protagonist, Hiryu, a member of an elite group of ninjas called Striders.
Wow.
Huh.
I knew it had influence from a Japanese video game.
The film is believed to be a remake of Fist of the North Star.
I knew it! I knew it! Oh! It's so much like Fist of the North Star. It's ridiculous. Even like the tragic backstory of the protagonist and all of that.
Yeah.
And, you know,
wow, man. Now I got to watch this Fist of the North Star.
Oh, you've never seen it?
No, I don't think so.
It's really good.
Maybe
it's
I
a man
have
who has
as a kid, but...
You got to watch it.
Sweet. When Fender steals the boat he takes to Charleston, he declares that he can't swim and hates water. Vincent Klein is a professional surfer. In the director's cut, the film's ending is extended. When Gibson and Haley return Pearl to her scientist college, it cuts to a caption 9 months later, and an electrical storm is seen in a sphere flashes and an unknown naked woman, a cyborg, appears and ends with the caption, "Next, Cyborg Nemesis, the Dark Rift." That scene, which rips off the Terminator, was written and filmed to set the stage for a planned sequel entitled Cyborg Nemesis.
I'd watch it.
Oh, yeah, definitely, dude. Albert Pyun stated Henry Fonda's character in Once Upon a Time in the West as an influence behind Fender and the otherworldly feel to his character. Huh.
I've never actually watched Once Upon a Time in the West.
I can't say that I have either.
Is that a Sergio Leone film? I think it is.
Maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Fans, help us out.
The Searchers from 1956, Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968, The Ultimate Warrior, 1975, Mad Max, 1979, Conan the Barbarian, 1982, The Terminator, 1984, Fist of the North Star, 1986, Strider in the Last Battle, 1989, are influences behind the film.
You know, it's funny. You can really tell with Conan the Barbarian during the crucifixion scene.
Yeah, man.
Very heavily influenced.
The number of actors working for the film was extremely limited, so nearly everyone aside from the leads played multiple roles, usually as henchmen. Hey, here we go. Here's the Wu-Tang Clan. Method Man sampled most of Fender's opening words as the opening lyrics in the song Judgment Day from his 1998 album Tycho 2000 Judgment Day. Sorry if I butcher that one. The lyrics are slightly modified. The intro is also in the opening of the song World Damnation by the death metal band Mortician. The intro of Fender talking about death and starvation is thought as the official opening of metal band Chimera's song Resurrection. It is often played at live shows as an intro. The same intro is also played at the beginning of a song by Australian Christian grindcore band.
Can you
Vomitorial Corpulence.
Can you repeat that? Did you say an Australian Christian
grindcore band? Vomitorial Corpulence. That is absolutely beautiful.
That is the greatest discovery of this podcast, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, that is beautiful. And that's basically your trivia for the film, man.
So much good has come from this film.
And obviously we have to do some of the quotes from it, and it's really like...
Can I do all the Fender quotes?
Yes, I was gonna hand it over to you to do them. Really, there's only really Fender quotes, to be honest. Like, this film is
it's pretty much the Fender show as far as dialogue.
It really is kind of like a black and white opera without anyone talking. Okay, so here's the beginning. This is the quote everyone's been talking about.
First there was the collapse of civilization, anarchy, genocide, starvation. Then, when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, we got the plague, the living death, quickly closing its fist over the entire planet. Then we heard the rumors. That was the last scientists were working on a cure that would end the plague and restore the world. Restore it? Why? I like the death. I like the misery. I like this world.
Oh, that just rang through my childhood.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Tears of joy, man.
Oh man! All right, here's another one. When he captures the cyborg.
I'll take you to Atlanta, and you'll give me the cure. And if you don't, I'll give you the horror show.
Oh, beautiful.
All right, here's the, what was his name, Willie? Yeah, Willie. Go to hell.
Been there.
Oh, man. All right, you can do the rest.
I don't know, man. You're doing some pretty good ones, too. Okay, Pearl. Why did you help me? Gibson. I thought it was somebody else.
Yeah, they make it seem like he's looking for her, and they never find any, hint of her at all the whole way.
Yeah, man.
But she, apparently mysteriously died, and then you don't know what happened to the other kid, and,
yeah,
they all get divorced or something?
Okay, and the last one, I can't do a great fender like you can, but I'll try.
I don't remember that line. I must have been not paying attention.
Yeah. You think I'm going to swim all the way to Atlanta? I hate the water. Shoves metal pole down one of the ransacked villagers' mouths. Hoist the anchor, mates.
Oh, Fender, he definitely saved the film as far as I was concerned.
Yes. Oh,
the
yeah.
look and the dialogue.
Yeah.
The delivery.
If anything, I think that's what really makes this film is the fact that
that was
the costumes.
Yes, the set. The sets were good. The editing was awful.
Oh,
it was almost as if an action star edited it or something.
Yeah, it really, Van Damme, I guess, was a one-shot editor because Bloodsport was edited pretty nicely.
Well, I mean, it had a lot of martial arts action to edit.
Yeah.
As opposed to this one, which was a lot of, guerrilla punches. And,
right. Yeah,
very little actual martial arts action outside of him.
Oh, okay. So that dude who lost his eye, he was one of, Fender's pirates.
Mm-hmm. A pirate who lost an eye.
Yeah, hey, so it works out, right?
Why be angry?
All right, the reception of this, Cyborg received a generally negative reception from critics despite the box office success. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 14% positive score based on 14 reviews, certifying it rotten with an average rating of 2.9 out of 10.
I saw that IMDb gave it a 5 out of 10, which I feel is fair.
Yeah, definitely.
14%?
Definitely.
That's like something you give to Birdemic or something.
I know, right?
Rotten Tomatoes' scores are really off the kilter as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So that about wraps it up with this, man. It was a decent film. How many splits were in it this time around?
Just one.
Just the one, right?
There was one. There was only 6 Van Damme screams.
Yeah,
and there were 2 headbutts in the whole film, and Van Damme only did one of them.
Yes.
Bizarre.
Exactly. So this one's kind of out of the ordinary from a normal Van Damme film.
To be fair, the split in this was an Omega level split.
Yeah,
it was
that's
the greatest
true,
split to date in his films.
Yeah, because you can't really do much after that split. After that, it's just kind of too much.
Quality over quantity. In this film.
Yes, exactly. We move on next. We go down our line of Van Damme films.
Oh man,
we're still in 1989.
Which it shows what a busy actor he was.
Right, exactly. Oh, I'm kidding. We're not in 1989.
Oh,
I thought
he was a lazy fuck during this time, apparently.
After Cannon folded. No. I take it back. Well, I mean, technically, yeah, in 89 he was pretty busy because this film came out in 1990.
Yeah, 2 films, 1 year. Wait, 2 films,
we had
2 years?
Kickboxer and Cyborg came out both in 89.
Wow, 3 films in 2 years.
So Lionheart, which is next, comes out in 1990.
Oh man, I haven't seen this since I was a kid either.
What also comes out
too.
in 1990 is Death Warrant.
I have never seen Death Warrant.
You haven't seen Death Warrant?
That's one of the ones I haven't seen.
Ooh, I can't wait for you to watch that. I haven't seen Lionheart in a very long time either.
It's been a hot dog minute for me.
I can't wait to watch some Lionheart where he's Leon. That one does a little bit better than Cyborg did on the rating system. But yeah, man.
It's funny because like Cyborg was like one of my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies when I was a kid. I guess maybe it's just because of the setting and like the costumes.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I had
something.
I was like, this is pretty awesome.
Fender's appearance, like he definitely had the look.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It just reminds me kind of what the 80s was all about. Like, really, we got a ton of apocalyptic films in the 80s, or the post-apocalyptic films. And really, it was just like we were kind of taught to believe, even though this is at the tail end, the Cold War is basically over. And we're taught to believe that we're all going to be in nuclear ruin by the time we hit the 2000s.
Yeah, another aspiration that,
A little disappointed, 80s.
Yeah. Would have been nice. Would have been nice if we'd been hunting down people with assless chaps with our sawed-off 12 gauges in our muscle cars, trying to soak up rags full of gasoline and our V12s.
Maybe one day.
One sweet day. I mean, you never know what'll happen.
Yeah, man. I think we kind of went through all of our usual markers.
Mm-hmm.
Not too many headbutts, not too many screams.
2 headbutts. There were more screams from Fender than from...
yes, exactly. Yeah.
And he did scream a lot, especially during the last fight scene.
Oh, that last fight scene.
Like, it was getting, like, comic, the way he just had his mouth constantly open, screaming the whole time. It was really...
Yeah, that one was kind of crazy.
You could tell that Jean-Claude Van Damme did the editing.
Yeah. Yep. I need you to come in the studio and overdub some of these scenes.
You need to scream.
Just
you need to give a good scream.
Just gives him a bottle of water and he's just like, all right, let's go. Scream. So how many Van Damme splits would you give this film?
I would give it a entertainment value. I'd give it a 6.5 splits out of 10.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, man. I totally I would probably just give it a solid 6. Like,
it's not the worst one that we've seen.
No. I still will watch Cyborg over and over again.
For novelty value alone.
Man. Yeah.
It's just such a weird movie.
Very, very weird.
It's definitely, I would have to say, it's the weirdest Jean-Claude Van Damme movie I've seen, except maybe like Street Fighter.
Yeah, man. It's totally unique in and of itself.
His first, but not his last sci-fi jaunt.
Yep. All right, and how is your progression with your splits going? Are you still? Did you revert back? Are you full on splits?
No, not yet. I'm working hard, but I think I need better pants.
Yeah, dude. I'm looking at your jeans. I think so.
I need the Chuck Norris action jeans.
Yep. I'm glad we were on the same wavelength there.
How do those work? Will they just have like an extra crotch gusset?
I don't think they're jeans at all, really. I think they're basically
like pajama jeans.
Pajama jeans, yeah.
They're jeggings.
Yes, exactly. And I think
isn't that what
Chuck Norris was the first to come up with it.
Now Dean Ambrose is carrying on the legacy.
Yep, exactly. Now Dean Ambrose has the Chuck Norris pants. All right, that's it. That was Cyborg. We hope you all enjoyed that. Go out there, find it. I think now I'm going to try to find this director's cut that we were just talking about.
Holy shit, dude.
How fast did we answer a prayer? They need to come out with a director's cut of this. A director's cut came out in 2014. Oh, holy shit, man. Sweet.
I'm really hoping it's in monochrome and no dialogue.
Oh, dude, yes. Yes,
please. Operatic score.
Yep, something ridiculous. I can't wait. I'm gonna find this bad boy.
Such brilliant aspirations.
Yep.
That's funny because I was like, you can see there was a lot of aspirations put into this movie. And like,
yeah, man.
By the way, this is originally going to be a dialogue-less,
Dan.
noir opera / martial arts post-apocalyptic movie.
That's what's crazy about it too. Oh yeah, we were gonna do a He-Man sequel, Masters of the Universe. We were just gonna reuse the same shit for Spider-Man too, which is funny too. Could you imagine a Spider-Man in this world? Like
what were the? That's almost as wacky as the Superman remake or the Superman movie they're going to make with Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
Tim Burton directing.
Exactly.
Superman Lives.
Superman Lives, yeah. All right, guys, that's it. I'm John.
And I am Jeff.
And you have listened to another episode of the Jean Pod Van Dammecast. I hate water.
Let her. Let her go! To Atlanta.
To cure the plague with the information that she's carrying.
I want to own it.
Own the cure?
I'd be a god.
And the misery could be stopped.
I like the misery.
The world could be changed.
I like this world.
Go to hell.
Been there.